So I'm at the river this morning. I didn't bring my bike today. I walked. I felt like I needed to slow down. Um, that bag right there is a bag that a friend of mine, Christina, gave to me. Her birthday was last week. I'm a few months older than her. And then I get this large plastic bag from the center, or from the shelter. That's where you can keep our clothes, and so they're out of reach of the bed bugs. And then I use those to, when I wash my sheets and stuff like that, and wash my clothes. And tomorrow, I signed up this morning to wash tomorrow because we have to sign up a day in advance. But I'm just out here thinking, today is my 4-year anniversary for painting. I started painting August 2nd, 2019. I was recovering from a car accident from 2018. That same month, August of 2018, is when I got hit by a car while I was crossing the crosswalk. I didn't have insurance, and so it took a while for me to get Medi-Cal and then get a referral to a specialist, and then get my leg brace, and then get another referral to a that first referral was an orthopedic surgeon, and the next referral was to physical therapy. So right about that time, I was really depressed. I had never been in as much pain as I had been in my life at that point. I was 41, and I was essentially, I didn't know it. I didn't know it then, but I was in an isolated space for spiritual development reasons. So I'd never been in as much pain. Usually, I was used to psychological pain and mental pain and spiritual anguish for the trials that are on the path of the Christ consciousness path at that time. There was a certain amount of suffering that I felt that I transmuted and healed, and was able to ground that into the earth, channel it, because I'm a channel. Channel works both ways, and then channel that back up to the stars, to the universe, to where I was made, where I would come from. And I am still that way. All of that, that healing of energy, that alchemy, being able to transmute energy that is not mine pretty fast. When I say not mine, it's my own vibration over my lifetimes of learning, and over my experiences even during the day, like deciding to walk instead of ride a bike switched my timeline. That's how I feel, right? I have a privilege as of now that was gifted to me consciously when I started painting August 2nd, 2019, is to be able to live in the moment. I've been practicing yoga since I was in my late teens, meditation, really diligent, even if I only had 5 minutes, because 5 minutes matters. Even if I only had 3 minutes, I would tell myself, those practice, being able to practice every day for something that I felt was important to not only my well-being, but for my spiritual goals, and for health reasons, and for just development reasons, and for the pleasure of being able to have something to look forward to every day, to know that the day, to be reminded that the day is different, that whatever time I'm sitting down, even if I'm sitting down at 6 a.m. every day, it's a different 6 a.m. every day. The earth has turned, the sun has, we've been traveling, it's just different. And so I had that reminder that whole time. August 2nd, 2019 is when I felt so a friend bought a backpack full of art supplies back, and it was by my house, because I had been drawing on copy paper, but I ran out of copy paper. And my whole life I thought, no matter where I'm at, I'll be able to get a piece of paper or be able to get a pen. I'll never run out. So I had actually run out of that because I hadn't been able to go anywhere. I was on the second floor, I think, of an old apartment building in Los Feliz that my friend thankfully was allowing me and another friend of hers to be at. while she was away, in another state, in her home state. So being hurt, having that year of my left leg, slowly not being able to be used, clicking and getting stuck. It ended up being a torn meniscus and something else. But not knowing what to do and how, that couldn't keep any weight on it, could barely go down the stairs. It would be one stair at a time. It would take so long, sweating, like it was just, and increasingly not being able to go to work, because I was working as a on stage and doing backstage stuff for a little bit, and I had to be carried off stage by a worker, and then I was also doing short films, and so I was working crews and stuff like that. Again, locking up, it wasn't. It's embarrassing to have to be carried, because I can't move. I'm locked in pain. So it ended up being, when one can't move, when one is in pain a lot, and when one can't work to make money. Because before I got hit, I was walking dogs. And it was about $17 a half an hour and $20 an hour. I set my own prices. I was that week I was getting repeat clients, because I just started the month before, and so I was going to be able to get out of my friend's apartment in 3 months at the latest, and just be able to have my start. That was the plan, and then that's what I thought, anyways. And so I lost people, and I feel like that year of August 2018, to my birthday in May, to spring in March, that's when I started writing a book of all of the 2019 was basically a wrap-up year. And I didn't know it at the time, but it's very clear. In spring, I'm a spring baby. My birthday's in May. But spring equinox in the northern hemisphere on Earth and that's when spring starts. The day of spring, March 20th, my friend, who was letting us stay at her apartment, left for Texas, and we didn't know if she was going to be coming back or going back and forth. And the plan was for her to travel back and forth, but she needed to be home, and so that was a thing. So she left that day. That's the day that I unplanned, but I started writing about love. It's a Love Be Like. That's what the series, Love Be Like. And then it was like number 1, number 2, number 3. And it was just like little poems or little sayings of things that I condensed into what I learned about love in those 40 years. And another friend had just left the week before and left me clothes, because I didn't have clothes that fit me. I had lost over 50 pounds during that year. And because I was more stationary and more, I guess, not attractive to the people who had been in my life, they didn't notice that I had lost that much weight. But I had been diligently meditating, doing my abhyanga, and praying, and I couldn't go out to eat. I would go get tuna, anything I could carry, be tuna and spinach. And so my diet was very, and then dessert. But my diet was very limited, and so when I got those new clothes, I was able, people in my life in LA saw me in a different light. It's like, even though it didn't look like I was doing anything, I was always doing anything. And I'm a writer. I was always writing, and I was always praying. And those are the things that I care about the most. Sharing information of inner insights and downloads, and what I interpret them as, and what I create with using imagination and my intellect and things like that. And so a lot of these things were invisible, because this is energy work, this is healing, this is not every dimension is physical, you know what I'm saying? And so it has so many things, but I am physical. I am here, there's water, there's trees, there's land. I am physically on Earth, right? This is where I am, It's August 2nd, 2023. And so it's Wednesday, and Wednesday is the day of Raphael. Archangel Raphael was born on a Wednesday. That's what I know of my purpose is unconditional love, forgiveness, and compassion. And those are things that I've worked with my own. Addition to that are my own necessary path is gratitude. Gratitude, thank you is my favorite prayer. And thank you includes I love you and you're welcome in the same word, because as I've grown up in my life, I couldn't wait for people's you're welcomes. I couldn't trust that people would accept my thank you as completely sincere. I was always getting rejected or questioned, and I was just like, that hurts. It hurts to be loving and to be grateful and to do it on purpose, because not only is it rewarding, but it is an honor of who I feel that I was born as, who I want to be, who I strive to be, which is love, which is an embodiment of love and an aspect of God's love. And so that's how I feel. These are things that I sought and seek and am dedicated, and I practice and I love, and that's what I'm sharing right now. And I wasn't able to speak this way until 2019, until December of 2019, when I met someone, and I thought that they were the love of my life. But a lot of gifts came out, but that's because I was at such a high octave of love. That's the last thing. I had a satisfying feeling August 2nd, 2019. My friend had dropped off the paint maybe a day or two before. I always wanted to paint. I've been teaching myself how to draw the last 3 or 4 years, but it was really difficult. And because in school, in community college or in school, you need to have drawing classes before you take painting classes. So I was trying to do that. And but I'm sitting there, I'm embraced, I'm kind of sad. I'm watching one of my favorite shows, Battlestar Galactica, the newer version, I think 2005 2004 version. And I was set up, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna paint. I get a piece of paper, a copy paper, because my friend he knew when I asked. I guess I didn't finish that story. My friend knew when I asked for copy paper he worked right around the corner, that I had run out of paper. His son does art, and he was like, okay, I'm gonna go get, it's like markers, color pencils, it was copy paper, and it was the little a pen set, and pencils, and a little acrylic set, very small, like the ones you would get at, Walmart or something like that, or I don't know, some really, So I decided to paint. I got a piece of paper out, and I have a picture of it almost in progress. And after I was finished, I was like, click, 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 click. That's what it felt inside. And I was like, this is it. And it felt like all the writing that I had been doing. And so I had started writing my summary of what I knew of love, March 20th, 2019, that spring equinox. That's what I was saying. This is how I tell stories. This is how I think. So I had already started that and been doing that. In that year, I had over 300 blog posts. I had more blog posts than I had in 3 years combined before that. And so that's amazing to me. So for me, I was doing my work because it wasn't being published, because I wasn't making money from it, because I had been, I'm interested in music. I was interested in film, interested in being a director and producer outside, in the film world. I had been in advanced theater in high school, and I wrote one-act plays, poetry. I did poetry when I was at UCLA. I was at UCLA for a year, and I got into an advanced poetry class with Sheree Moraga. It's a playwriting class, but I got in with my writing that was mostly poetry at the time, and I was 17 years old. I had just recently turned 17. And so it was really exciting. And I think in that last quarter or second quarter, I don't remember when it was, but I turned 18 in May. And so, and then I stopped going to college until I went back at 31. So anyways, August 2nd, 2019, I felt click, 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 click. I felt everything in my life come together. It was all the music that I had been trying to get off the ground, film, all the love, all the art, all the the things that were so close, but I could never really get that, having a short film, having the money for it, and then getting a trailer out of it, but not getting a finished, things like that, just being really close, really supported at certain points, by at least one person, and having these steps, but not being able to have a clear, and there's reasons for that. And one day I will be able to get into that. There's a lot of spiritual behind the scenes, behind the veil type of things, but it's worked out for me. So that was it felt like everything was coming together. And the art also says what I have been trying to say, and what I guess I'm saying now is that I followed my heart and I followed my path and what God had laid out for me faithfully, even if I didn't believe, I believed in myself, right? Because I am here, and then I could always go back to God, right? But God never let me go. When I felt lonely, when I felt in pain, when I felt abandoned, I knew that I was me and that I was still here, and the things that I had accomplished during my life. I knew the pain that I had not accomplished. I guess I'm saying that because I needed to practice healing specifically with the pain that I felt here in this collective. It was always a relationship, and with the love, because I am love. I was born as love. I come from love. I didn't understand God, but I decided to follow that, explore God as love. God is love, because that's what I heard growing up. That was another way to get to God. Jesus Christ obviously is the easiest, because it's like, if you believe, it's John 3:16. If you believe, you're good. Let's just move on, because that was a sacrifice that was made, and that's the promise, and that it's done. It's been successful since. So that's one of the paths of Christ. There's a lot of paths, but it's through that there's a lot of paths, in my opinion. So to be able to explore God as love as another aspect of creation, another aspect of developing soul, another aspect of another path of spiritual discipline, just really, really exciting. And so I have been, one of my paths, one of my things was gratitude. In my 20s, I explored agape love, and I did that for 7 years. I was celibate. So I was focused on my spiritual development, and also how, when I was relating with other people, what did people really want? That attraction that we have as adults or late teens, that physical or that sexual, what is, and from my experience, people wanted intimacy, people wanted closeness and connection. And for me, in my 20s, where I'm a Taurus, I like to be touched. Like, I am sexual, but I made a choice to dedicate myself to unconditional love, exploring that. And so anyways, dealing with people, and that feeling that intimacy, and them knowing, and me knowing that it was never going to cross the line. I ended up being able to sleep in beds with people naked and not have sex, or not have, that it was just this love connection and this flow. That's how I felt, right? And so that was a very satisfying time in my life. And so that's what's in the paintings too. It's that dedication to loving people more purely than the physical satisfaction of being together, that could be temporary, and that could lead to heartbreak in ways that I didn't intend, right? Because I'm a lover, but at that time I could separate love and physical intimacy, or sexual intimacy, because I felt that those were separate. Love was something that I was exploring more intellectually, that eventually has made itself to the emotional, and succeeded in being able to join those two in union, and be able to also let them go and transmute them and use them. It's just energy play, and I will get into that another time. So and one of my also things besides gratitude, and it was to love people regardless of behavior, regardless of what I thought of them, regardless of anything I said, regardless of how I felt. But really, mostly it was more celebration. It was more like we are in each other's presence for a reason. There are supposedly billions of people on the planet. So I just honored the people that were in front of me. And a lot of times it ended up being one-on-one conversations and things like that. But I genuinely, when people's birthdays were around, people, you can celebrate more certain times of the year. Christmas time, people are more open to that, receiving that love. And it's just, being able to wish people the best, being able to say, I'm so happy that you were born and this is your solar return. And it's, you made it through another year. I don't know if people think about that way, but it's basically like Happy New Year. It's like all of those things, all those wishes that I wrote for people, on Facebook and statuses and that tags or calls meant them, right? Like really just that genuine. And then sometimes we, including me, behave in ways that are misunderstood, or behave in ways, for me, I'll specifically say, I have never done anything to intentionally hurt someone. I have never done anything on purpose to trip someone up. The only thing that I think about sometimes is when I was 11ish and my brother was 8, my parents were able to get him karate lessons or something like that, and they had never been able to afford to do anything like that for me, or the things that I got were more academic based, so I didn't get to go outside of that. And I wanted to be able to explore my body in different ways. I wanted to dance at the time. I wanted to, and I felt jealous. I didn't know that word. So he came home and he was happy. And we started like, what did you learn? And cause I'm tough too or whatever. And I'm not really a fighter, but I wanted to prove that no matter what he learned in class, that I'm still better, even though I didn't get to go, and I probably won't ever get to go. And so that hurt his feelings. It wasn't just hurting him, right? Because I think we had maybe a couple exchanges. It hurt his heart, and I felt it, right? And so that was at a young age, and I can still feel it because his feelings were hurt. It wasn't just because he didn't intend. He wouldn't have ever guessed that I would have behaved that way, because I wasn't that way. And we never talked about it. But my mom ended up coming down and hitting me and that's the last time she hit me. She only hit me maybe 3 times in my life. But in defense of him, because he's crying. He's like crying. So she doesn't know how bad I've hurt him, but I did hurt him in the heart. And that's a punch. That's an energetic punch, because he didn't deserve that. So I can say outside of that, somebody, because I've had people treat me so badly and I wasn't cognizant of it because I was so in love. And so like happy that we were together, the times that we were together, just the specialness of being able to, it's hard to describe. And so, of course, I knew of some things people, think thoughts or have judgments, and sometimes it comes out in their mouth, but sometimes it just comes like, I know, but I didn't know the extent of it. But my whole thing was love regardless. I wanted to love regardless. No matter what. And then August 2nd, 2019, when I saw that finished painting, it was like include myself into all the love that I had been putting in. And then I've thought of it now as investments, emotional investments. But the person who was doing all of that, kind of, I feel like running around just, trying to express the heart, loving everybody, and then having to do it in secret, and having to do it in a way that looked lazy to people, or looked like I should be doing something else. I don't know. Because we all have free will and we all have our lives. And I think that some people, I guess, thought that I was, living off of them, or being lazy, or being like I should work. And I had worked for over like physical, like regular jobs and all that for years and years and years. And then I got sick, and then I wasn't able to put in the time that I had in my mid-20s. I wasn't able to put in the time at a physical job that more of society does, that strives for. So my path it really became more spiritual. God, guide me, put me where you need me to be. Let me love and express myself and learn and grow and share what you've taught me, what we've made for each other. I didn't have the consciousness there, but my prayer was, be in me, see me, guide me. Let me do your will. That was true, and that had been since my early 20s, early teens. So that had already been for years and years and years. Sincere, praying without ceasing. It's always there. I walk with that always still. Even in moments of confusion, in doubts, in pain, and feeling, well, so anyways, click, 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 feel it comes together. So the paintings they express my travels. They express all the love that I experienced in that lifetime, those 41 years. And then all my lifetimes I felt were coming together and coming to a close. And I felt very successful because it showed all my travels, all the love, and I didn't have to speak on it. It wasn't going to be rejected because it's visible, people. Seeing is believing, right? I wasn't looking at the world through rose-colored glasses. I was seeing the colors of everything and everyone from my point of view, and there's no colors that don't go together. My world was beautiful, right? No matter what it looked like, no matter how poor I was, monetarily, I was always rich in spirit, rich here, just and also in strength, and it was largely I felt invisible because I don't feel like the physical people I was around acknowledged that. Yeah, man. There was a lot of judgment, but there was also a lot of love, and that's the part of it. Love on their part, love on my part, and that's what I could build on. If the worst case scenario is if someone just loves being right or someone just loves being mean, still travel on that love. It's not as easy to build with, but so at that time, that's what I was doing, combining love and just living with that and creating from that, creating my life from that, creating my thoughts from that, my art from that. And so the paintings also show, because they're not planned, they just come out. So those are the conversations that I have. I can sit with something. These are the things that I've thought. I change direction, I mix. But it's what's coming out in the moment. And a lot of times I'm telling stories or channeling people that I've encountered during the day, whatever they're wearing, whatever they've said to me. There's a sacredness in my encounters with others, even if they're brief. Some of them are great and some of them aren't, but if I'm having an issue with somebody, like at a store or something, like security or something, I usually will circle back around later, so there's not that tension that it was, and so we can talk to one another as human. It just happened recently. Somebody was messing with me about a bag I had, and I had to go back around to something, but I had my receipt, and it was just this whole thing. But when I went back around to ask for, I asked for his name when we ended the conversation, and then I came around because I was hurt. And I asked for his manager, and he was trying to point her out, and I said, but I don't want to talk to her. I want to talk to you and see what was happening there, and then I wanted to tell him how I felt, and he explained, this is his job, this is what he does, and people still all the time. In my mind, I'm thinking I was targeted because of the way that I was dressed. That's maybe not true, but I'll never know, right? Just yeah. And then he ended up telling me that he can't even look at people's receipts, and I just he has to follow his. And so I was like, okay. And it's a high theft area. People come in all the time. It doesn't matter, he deals with that all the time. And then I think I said, that's pretty a shit job, because in my mind, for me, it would be a shit job to protect things for a company for a certain amount of money that doesn't go with the I feel like it prioritizes things over people, and I don't agree with that. So, because things are the things that people made, and things can disappear, but we're here, and we can disappear, but the energy that we've participated with one another and built with one another and created with one another is still here. So I just try to practice love and practice. It's just a practice. And because I'm a part of it, I practice, I'm allowed to love myself regardless. And I love myself. I get to share that, and that's what I've always wanted to do. Just be myself on earth and share myself and share my love. Now I know more discernment, but I know my worth. That's the difference. And so seeing the paintings made me feel like it's what I've been always saying, that I see you, that I love you, and that God loves me. God loves you. People don't believe in God, but people have seen me, and the way that I've talked and the way that I represented myself online for over 13 years, it's been consistent. It's just what it is. Even if some people think, oh, it's on purpose. Yes, it's on purpose. I live intentionally. Yes. Yes, it's on purpose, but it's sincere. And the on purpose part is just developing, being able to speak on it, being able to feel comfortable to share it, because I could share it privately, because that was safe. But I've always been meant to share it in more physical, tangible ways. And so pictures worth 1,000 words and all of that, so nobody had to read the work anymore. Like, people sometimes don't read on the internet. They're not in physical books yet, so it's just like, so it's in the, and it's beautiful. The colors are so beautiful, and it's such a gift. So it's also saying that what the person viewing them sees is absolutely valid. It's their sight. I've shared my inner sight, and I've shared my travels and my love and the energies of love that I've experienced with nature, with things of nature, with people, with the non-people, with my own thoughts, my own interpretations. Just, it's my inner sight being shown in a visible, physical way for others to see. And it shows how we are united. That a lot of these experiences are the same. We've gone through so many similar things. We have different paths, we have different vehicles, we have different speeds, different destinations, we have different interests. And I had to realize that not everybody was interested in love that I was around, and not everybody was interested in healing. But I am bringing that to the table. So anybody I'm encountering, it's an activation. It is a way to get out of. I'm told that I'm a tower moment. In the tarot, there's tower. Like, either there's some kind of stagnation that I might be experiencing, or people that I encounter might be experiencing it, and then they get free of that. And some people are ready to. Some people still want to be, but the thing is that the agreement, or why God has placed me, or why I have my higher self, or our higher selves have decided to meet, even in this way, is to expand in consciousness and heart consciousness, and I get to do that with every interaction. And I think the people that I feel like I activate hearts, and I feel like my heart gets activated often. So the love just grows, and so that's in the work too. Just the gift of showing people a mirror. We're not just mirroring each other. I'm not just taking on projections. I'm not putting my projection of love on you over the reality of what's happening in front of me and being projected upon, when that's not my issue. Those are not my things to carry. But because I'm a healer, I transmute it anyways. But it didn't help people see themselves, right? See the truth, not an illusion. Because the thing is about mirrors is that I've never seen my own eyes, right? Only other people have seen my eyes. I've only seen my eyes through a reflection of a glass. Like, so there are things that we've never seen about ourselves that other people outside of us have seen. And so that's another thing that I'm sharing, and another thing that's beautiful is saying, and what you see when people read the work, to me, because sometimes it's just private, they're having their own experience. Some things aren't, and that's the thing, some of these things don't have words. That's the point of the paintings too, that some things can't be expressed that way. So it's freeing of emotions too. It's opening up that that it's safe to feel the colors. It's safe to feel the emotions. There's certain things that stuckness, that stagnation, that fear of movement, that rut of thinking, that rut of perhaps even traveling, like traveling to work or traveling home. Like sometimes people take the same route, which is what it is, but like just changing up things a little bit. So I feel like I activate people's hearts, and I feel like sometimes if people's expression of emotion has been shut down, and that's a lot of times inner childhood wounds of feeling rejected or abandoned, undernourished, all those things, bullied, some right out abuse, those expressions of self get locked in. So this is also the paintings have to be like, yo, anything you can put, anything, just put yourself, get out of your head, express these. If something's in you, like you have people have issues with control, then there's ways to help navigate that. There's so much help out there for that. My opinion is, because of the self-discipline thing, is self-control. I can't control anybody else. I've never wanted to control anybody else, for one. I just wanted to be myself. So but because I so strongly am that, basically I'm saying that my presence is an automatic upgrade, and people do that for me too. Nature does it for me every day. The earth does it for me every day. The encounters that I have where we listen to each other, because I think listening is an attitude of the heart where we really commune, because a lot of things are just in passing, but when I have that, oh, that's such a gift. It's such a gift. And so yeah, so today's my 4-year anniversary for the paintings. Today is the 2nd-year anniversary of not seeing anybody that I knew pre-pandemic. I haven't seen anybody in person that I knew pre-pandemic. The last person that I saw pre-pandemic was August 2nd, 2021, and it was my aunt. My stuff was on the front of the lawn, and it was time to go. So it's been a homeless journey type of thing since then. I've had a year of housing in between these 2 years, so but that's been a thing. Anyways, I've been at the shelter. Tomorrow it'll be 90 days. And yesterday was my mom's 3rd death day anniversary. So it was, she passed the day before my 1-year anniversary for painting. When I was younger, I had a premonition that my mom would pass right about the time I would become successful. Successful to me was completing what I felt like was my spiritual mission in life. And anytime I do something for a year, it's a success for me. Anytime I do something for 2 years, it's pretty much mastery. It's set and can be built upon. It's a good foundation. So those are my thoughts, but that's not something that I share with anybody until maybe this year, or at the earliest 2019, when I met the love of my life, who I thought in December of that year, I told everything to. But I also wouldn't be able to be at this point if I didn't have another person who I loved and trusted to be able to express my whole being up until that time with. So yeah, the beginning of August has a lot of things. August 1st, 2020 is when my mom passed in a house fire. The next day was my 1-year anniversary for painting. The next year, we were supposed to have a celebration of life for my mother, but my aunt was going to rent out her house. So August 2nd, 2021 is when I lost family completely. Us sharing the same place, breaking bread together, visiting, it's just over. but it was for a reason. I needed to start over. I was a new person. I'm a new person. I was being refined spiritually. I was also healing during that past, being shown, especially after my mom passed. A lot of things opened up because the veil was thin, and I was always crossing in between it and stuff anyways, but now all my ancestors are on the other side, and my mom was the last one to go over. So it's a very different, in my whole life before dedicating it to God at 16. Before that, my whole life was dedicated to my mother, loving my mother, wanting to please her, wanting her to be happy, because I thought everything would be okay and that I would be at peace and be happy too. So when she passed over, there was a lot of love and flow instead of like the darkness and the resistance that we had during the last 10 years or so. Um, so but I got a lot of revelations about the people in my family on her side and what they've said about me in my when I wasn't there, and what they've thought, and puts a lot of relationships, not just with them. There was a heart by heart, moment by moment review, and I had loved them and loved them, and I had added myself to that. So the love is still the most important thing. I've just been healing the heart, the realities, and being excited about the future, because there's so much good that I felt and see in the energy. I just want to bring the best of me into it, and that's a perfectionist thing, because I am fine now. Every moment I'm good. I'm good. And so is everybody, in my opinion. I can't speak for everybody, but I'm always ascending. And I'm always changing. And I'm always growing, and I wish the same for everyone else. And so that's also in the work. That's also in the travels. The last 2 years I painted so much, but less than when I had more stable housing. So in the last 4 years I've painted well over 900 pieces. I need to count. It's well over 800, but I feel like it's over 900 now. And I will count this month. I need to count. When I left the house, or my aunt's house, August 2nd, 2021, that was 2-year anniversary of painting, I had over 600 pieces. So during this time, I've painted in the tents. I painted, tent under the freeway. I've painted at one of the shelters that I've been in. I do what I can when I can. The last 3 months, I wasn't really painting here, but I started a couple weeks ago, and so I'm pleased. I'm glad I took the break. And I have one, and I wanted to show. So let's see. Let's see the sky. I'm so happy. I'm so pleased with this one. All right. So I painted it. Wait. I painted it this way. And then I was turning it around, because sometimes I turn them around. These are my ocellatos, and I love my ocellatos. I have many of them. Yeah, and then I saw it this way, and I fell in love with it, and I just love it. I love it so much. I've never carried one around with me, so I have maybe, I don't know, 6 or 7 out of these, out of over 200. And maybe I'll go through the catalog soon. I'll just show the different sides. So sometimes I feel like some of them, I call them 360s. But I guess anybody who has them, because I sell them. And sometimes I gift them. So yeah, this is the original way that I painted. And then this is what I write on the back. This is endojé. Endojé means love unites us, or divine love unites us. That's my signature. And then I date it. So I don't put Osa or Osananda on any of my work. And I have bigger work. I have a lot of paper paintings because that's what I've been able to have while I travel. And then I have my canvases, my bigger canvases, and storage in the storage unit. And then I have canvas panels of all sizes. Yeah, mostly in storage. I think I'm carrying about 300 pieces with me right now. And so, yeah, I don't put my name on it because the painting is the painting is the painting for the person that it is and for the people that are viewing it. They look so much better in person. The Osalettos I love. I started them in June 2020. So about 10 months after I started painting, because about that mark, about the 9-month mark, I was able to afford my own paint and supplies. Before that, those first 8 months, I had been gifted paint, or gifted like gift certificates, gifted canvases. Yeah. And so that's why the paintings are so special too, because it was my love from all that time, and then the people who loved me supporting my love. And that was those first 8 months have all of that. And then I moved up here in Sacramento in May of 2020, and I was staying at my aunt's house, and she had promised me a forever home. My mom died a couple months later in August. But anyways, because I had a place to stay in June, I was able to buy my own things, and then I started my Osalettos. And when I made my first one, because I thought I was just going to give them away or sell them for 10 cents or $1, I don't know what. And it was a painting. It was just small, and I was like, oh my God, I just made a small painting, and I just fell in love with them. They're all different. And so that's what I was saying earlier, is that the pieces are all different, and it just shows the way that I think. Sometimes I do multiple in a day, and my brain it's conversations, it's storytelling. It's like everything that I've said in these, 46 minutes, I'm hoping that I'll end this in the next minute or so, could be done in a painting. So out of all my work, I have maybe 2 things that I've signed the front. One of them is the anniversary painting. It's August 2nd, 2021. It was my 2nd year anniversary, my first day of being homeless. And one of my friends ended up buying it 3 days later, because I still painted that night. And it helped me get a couple rooms for a couple nights more at that Airbnb, I think. So that was the beginning of that. So I painted that same night that that my stuff was on the lawn in the morning. And so that one has my name on it. It has Osa. And then I have another work in progress as a 16 by 20 canvas panel that I started in June of 2020. And it has my name on it. So I could paint over that. But yeah, in general, it's the piece for the person. And it's a gift from God of job well done. That's how I feel. Like the universe and spirit was like, yo, sit down, just do this. And then it's also a gift that keeps giving, a gift to the people that see it, a gift of beauty, a gift of hopefully inspiration, but movement in the heart space, expansion in the heart space. That's what I hope the most. Different vision, it shares my language, it shares my love and light, and it gives people a mirror, a mirror of themselves that they can see. They can read energy, they can read colors, they can read their own hearts, they can read their own stories, they can read our connections. So endojé, love unites us. Osananda out.